And welcome into another edition of Closest to the Win, a Hammercast Network production. This is part two of Hell Week for Guru. And how you doing, Guru? How's it going, Nick?
I'm hanging in there, man. They bumped up the start time for match play tomorrow 2 hours, so that's going to be fun. Golf gets started a little sooner, and then Corrales right behind it on Thursdays. So yeah, if you don't like Texas, go to the Dominican. If you don't like the Dominican, wake up and go to Texas, whichever way you want to do it. But tons and tons of golf, tons and tons of betting. I'm ready to rock it, man. Let's cash some big tickets and go to Vegas next week.
Yeah, it's really surprising because I haven't seen a whole lot of shows out there that are doing both tourneys. And so a lot of attention going to the WGC. And you know what? Deservedly so. That's all the names. But there's money to be made in DFS. There's money to be made in betting outright. And there's money to be made in betting parlays, all in the Dominican Republic. And so that's where we're going. Hey, Pro, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. To Nick's point, bonus golf, basically. Wednesday golf is bonus golf as far as I'm concerned. So
it's amazing, isn't it?
I'm excited about match play tomorrow. I'm also excited about Thursday. I mean, we can watch golf from sun up to sundown, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I'm going to get fired. I just know I am.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, don't do that.
I am. Just a little bit of brief history on the course. Corrales Puntacana Resort and Club Championship. It's in the Dominican. It was formerly a web.com tournament, and back in 2016 and 2017. And then it got moved to a PGA. It's a $3 million purse. It is a par 72, and it's a longer course than we've seen in recent weeks. It's close to 7,700 yards. So it's a big time course, and a lot of good holes on it. I think we're gonna have some wind being in play. And last year we had Hudson Swafford as our champion with 18 under. 18 under the year before that, 18 under the year before that, 20 before that, and 24 the year before that. What do you think about that scoring?
I think it tells you that it doesn't play like 7,700 yards. It's on the of course on the scorecard is that, but guys like this golf course up. Of course, you kind of expect wind being right there on the water. It can get fun with the wind out there at this golf course. It's just the way that these guys can go light up a 7,700 yard golf course and go 24 under par. The opposite event. It's just incredible, the talent that's out there.
What I love is the front nine is 400 yards shorter than the back nine. I mean, so, you score on the front and, hold your nuts on the back and hopefully don't screw it up, especially when you get to the, devil's elbow, I mean, you've got to, play it to the water on 16. You got to, get that short par 3 on the cliff on 17, and then they hit it straight into the bay on the, 18th. And then you've got those two 620-yard par 5s on the back nine too. I mean, it's like almost two completely different 9-hole courses put together, but it's a hell of a view, and there's going to be some big time scoring, so we'll have a good time.
Comment from All Falcon Day is such a good point. These pros play a different sport than us normal folk. He couldn't be more right. I mean, obviously, pro here is the closest thing to a touring pro. He's a teaching pro, and he can't touch those guys. And it's like when you see those guys up close, how good they really are, what they can really do. They're just born with a gift, and there's so few of them, but they can light it up, and it's amazing. But when you watch it on TV, or when you actually go to a real tournament and you see these guys play, you feel like you can't wait to get on the course because you want to do some of this stuff.
That's such a real feeling. And then you go back and you're still shit, But you feel like you're right.
You're worse.
I feel like their tempo is great. I'm gonna go work on this, and then you go back. But you're right. It's a privilege to even just watch the guys hit balls at the range. Is one of my favorite things to do when I go to an event. And I can't wait to go to an event with 2021 Bryson at the range. I look forward to that.
Oh yeah, what are you going to be doing? Which tournament is this?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to one this year. I'm just thinking the next one I go to, I'm looking forward to sitting at the range. We'll see what happens. I'm probably going to go to the Solheim Cup, which is the LPGA kind of Ryder Cup in Toledo, which is about 2 hours from me. My parents live in that area, so that'll probably be my next event that I go to.
Awesome.
That'll be a
All
good
right,
time.
Nick, let's talk about the model. Let's talk about some of the key features, some of the metrics that you put into it. What's going on this week?
Well, so there's not really much in the way of course history to play, but you still have a couple years. So I still weighted it because, they've got the different greens there and they're only, a handful of, you've got Puerto Rico and you've got Mayakoba and then you've got this that have the Paspalum greens. So, there's some importance there. And then trying to figure out comp course fits. And so I've got the comp course list kind of built into the model. And, when you get your copy of the article in the model tomorrow, you can definitely see which ones I used. Then forum, which the field is really interesting to me because I feel like it's kind of top heavy and then it's middle bloated. And then you have a bunch of not so awesomeness happening maybe in that 6,400 range and below. And so I didn't really wait long-term for him as much because let's just face it. I mean, the higher salary guys are just going to be better. So it didn't seem as important. I put a little emphasis on the short term, but most of the form weight's going to be in that short to medium term period of time. And hopefully it can kind of bounce out a little bit. Then the stats, you've got your, auxiliary stats, and then you've got your sort of, strokes gain type stats. But then the interesting thing with all of these, foreign courses, and these ones in particular with these Paspalum greens, there's really no shot link data. So you're kind of taking sort of general, assumptions and kind of just taking totals at the end of the round that the PGA, provides. But you have a general idea. You can form a general idea based on the, the number of par fives, par fours, the wind in play. I mean, it's really kind of a second shot course. And, so for me, approach again was still pretty high. You want to stick it pretty close, so you got to score. So, your greens and reg need to be pretty high. And then it's really going to be just somebody that rides probably a hot putter. So the putting was up a little bit for me. The around the green was up a little bit, and I dialed back the, off the tee. It's really more accuracy is going to probably be up a little bit. Distance is going to play a part, but probably not as much. I mean, I try to negate the drop in distance, when I bumped up the par fives, because I mean, you got to do something right with, those 620 par fives. Granted, I know they're 620 on paper. They're not going to play like that, with the tropical course and the wind and stuff, but you still need a little giddy up and go just to score. And the last couple of winners have all, done pretty well on the par fives. So, I mean, I think that's definitely going to be a key. And, I didn't really, again, with the type of the field, I didn't really put as much in, make the cut odds, because there are going to be some crazy people that are, going to show up, some low dollar guys. And then the win odds, again, it's going to be top. So I kind of focused more in the middle. And most of the time, just to crack an opti, you want somebody probably in the top 10. So really the majority of the odds are just based on top 10 odds. And that's a little different from normal because I usually try to, balance it between sort of a win, sort of a top 10, top 20, and then make the cut. But it's pretty much, straight top 10 odds. And that's about it. And
I just find it amusing when you say it's going to be top heavy. When you think about the top 65, 60, 70 players aren't even in the field. And I know, but every field has top heavy somehow. It's just I just find that kind of amusing.
Oh, it is to me too, because the, guys that are over 8,000 above here would be 6,500, maybe 7,000, 7,500 in a normal tourney. But,
right.
Here's hoping, we get a couple of them that can score. And that's going to be the key thing, because most of these guys aren't going to score over there, but they're expected to do better here. So that's why you have some of these oddball guys that just show up out of nowhere. And, like Swafford, last year at the 200 to 1. I mean, if you had him, God bless you, but he wasn't anywhere on my radar in the fall. He's not going to be anywhere on my radar again now. But
no, same here. Chucky's triple sticks would be a $7,200 this week in the in the WGC.
I mean, Thomas Peters is like $11,100.
Still can't go there.
I can't touch that. That's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know. Well, that's Thomas Peters, but yeah, it's definitely interesting when you see a week to week basis when you take 65 of the best players away. However, like Hudson Swafford, the only people that had him were his mom and dad, right? They probably threw a $10 bet down on that, but yeah, you certainly could see something like that. But again, this week, these are always interesting.
Yeah, they are. Well, let's just get to it, man. Let's give the people what they want. Let's go straight to the plays and fades before we get to the outrights after that. I just made a small little adjustment on my plays. I had actually had a typo on there, but anyway, we do have some plays from Justin. We'll try to incorporate those as well. Justin has he is in a COVID protocol right now, and so we are keeping him off the air. And so hopefully he'll be better and everything's back to normal relatively soon. Justin, we hope things are going good for you, brother.
Absolutely.
We miss you. All right, let's do this. Let me. I'm going to pull up Justin's so we can get to it. And where are you, Justin? I'm going to have to teach him how to send an email.
That's okay.
Oh, he sent it to all of us, didn't he?
Yeah. It was a text, I believe.
There we go. I got it. All right. We're going to start with Pro today with the 10K range, 2 plays and 1 fade. And once again, it's just a dumb thing to do fading in 10K players, but maybe not in this week. So what do you got, Pro?
Yeah, so I'm going to roll with Charlie Hoffman. The model loves Charlie Hoffman. 3 top 10 finishes this year. He's 30th in green and regulation percentage. To hit on what Nick was saying, it's going to be important to have a lot of birdie opportunities. He's also 38th in birdies, so he's making birdies. He's hitting greens. He's a guy I like this week. And then I'm just going to go with the guy we know. He probably won't win because Charles Howell doesn't win, but Charles Howell in this field I think is good value at 10,000. Again, we kind of touched on the money that it's going for who it's Thomas Peters and Thomas Dietrich. Yeah, I mean, so you're looking at $11,100. I like Thomas Peters. I can't start any lineup with that. So I'm going to go with Charles Howell. He's got 1 top 10, 53rd in green and regulation percentage. And then my fade is going to be I'll fade Emiliano Grillo. And there's not a lot of reasons why. The other 3 guys to me kind of came right in the same boat.
I figured it was going to be Peters because of his price.
Well, yeah. I mean, based off. I mean, if we're going to base it off pricing, yeah, certainly. But I think Peters has a chance to have a good week. It's just a lot of money to me. So I guess I'll go with Emiliano Grillo.
All right, Guru, what do you got?
Well, I'll take the easy one first. So I'm going to fade Peters, top guy on the board. Don't think he's worth the 22, and having never played the course before, I think the value is elsewhere, and I'll take my chances with the other guys in the 10. I mean, statistically, he matches out, based on some of the similar courses compared to the field. He makes sense. He'll probably finish in the top 10, but I think I can go around him and probably do okay without taking him.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of money. I get that. So who are you picking?
So I'm going to take Charlie Hoffman. Obvious points we made there. I mean, the big thing for me is he's the only guy that built in the model that it was in the top 20% and everything I threw up. Scoring, the stats, the form, the comps, the whole deal. So I mean, that's kind of a non-starter, no-brainer, usual pick for me. If the model says he checks out, usually checks out. I don't know if he'll win, but hopefully scores enough points to make it worth my while. I'm going to ride the Grillo train again. He did me dirty in Puerto Rico because he played well enough. He just had that kind of one crappy round, and he doesn't really have the elite history here like maybe some of the other people have. I mean, I think he's got 1 finish in the 20s and 1 finish in the 30s. So, I mean, if he can pull up that top 10 and maybe put 4 rounds together, but, as we've been learning lately, there's a whole lot of people we need to put 4 rounds together, and they seem to be able to put 2, maybe 2.5, maybe even 3. It's that mystery 4th round they don't put in that, screws the pooch, so to speak. But I'm going to try. I'm going to hopefully he can do it. He statistically makes sense. He probably makes a little better sense than Hoffman across the board, but the lack of course history bothers me, or great course history, like I said. But yeah, I have no problem with Howell either, but I hope he wins. I'm a fan. It's nice to see him on a bit of an upswing. I don't have a problem with the pick, and I don't really have a problem with the Thomas Detry pick either. But yeah, Peters is the fade, and Grillo and Hoffman are my 2 ride or dies this week.
Okay, so you mentioned Detry. That was Justin's pick. Justin went with Hoffman, and so that's 3 of you guys with Hoffman, and he also went with Detry at 10-8, and he faded Grillo. So we got 2 Grillo fades, 1 Grillo play, and then we'll just put it on me. We're going to go 4 for 4 on Charlie Hoffman. Believe it or not, he was number one in my dumb little model. And when I saw your model, he was number one there. I was like, all right, we got a consensus. And so, especially in my model, I went with approach, off the tee, putting, birdie or better, scrambling, and a small bit of driving distance. Even though it's not that important, I wanted to get it in there. And Charlie Hoffman was number one in approach, number one in birdie or better, number 4 in off the tee, number 7 in driving distance, 19 in putting, and 58th in scrambling. And so he was not only number one, but he was number one with a bullet. And so that was just by far number one. He's going to be in my lineups. And my second one is Thomas Detry. And I just like him this week. I think his recent form is really, really strong. And I'm fading none other than Charles Howell. I'm fading him because in my model, he was just he's 77th in this field in approach, and 77th in approach in this course is risky for me. And he's 61st in birdie or better, and he's 52nd in driving distance. And so you take all three of those ingredients on a longer course, he's not going to be in my lineup at 10K. If he was a 9.4, 9.3, yeah, but not at 10K. So that's the reason I'm fading Howell. So there we go. For the first time, I think we had 4 consensus number ones. That's pretty cool. All Falcon Day says, yeah, he's number one in our hearts, though. And you know what? That's what's important is vote with your heart, not your checking account. And the article did get posted today, just about 45 minutes ago, for those that are asking in the chat. And then we'll have another one tomorrow, right? So we're gonna have 2 profile of a contender articles this week. What a bonus, man! What a bonus. We are going to be doing Guru's quarterly review next week, and it couldn't come in better timing. So, all right, let's move on to the 9K range. I'll kick off the 9K range, and my number one, my first player that I'm playing is none other than Johnny Vegas, which I still think is the best name in sports.
It ranks up there.
I mean, that?
It is a good one.
It ranks up there, yeah.
I mean, Johnny Vegas. I mean, you cannot get better than that. I really like him. What I like is that Nick had him 3rd in his model, and he was 4th in my model. And so this is scaring me a little bit. He's 4th overall. He's 1st off the tee in this field. He's 2nd in birdie or better. He's 9th in driving distance. He's 38th in approach. And so he's hitting all the measurements. And at $9,800, well below all those 10K guys, he's going to be in some of my lineups. And then at the low end of the 9K range at 9,000, I'm going with Sam Ryder. I really like the way he's looked in the last few tournaments. And even Sam Ryder at 9K, he was 21st in your model, and he's 17th in mine. 4.4 difference. And once again, he's 9th in approach in this field. He's 23rd off the tee. Yeah, he's got some work to do on the putting. He's 70th, middle of the pack, but he's 29th also in birdie or better. So he's in the upper echelon of all of those plus driving distance. So he's my second 9K player, and I am fading a guy that you have ranked pretty high, and I'm fading Lee Hodges. He's 20th in your model. For some reason, he's 60th in mine. And he's showing up as 80th on approach, 54th off the tee, 76th in putting, 47th in birdie or better, 50th in scrambling, and 43rd in driving distance. None of that looks good to me for $9,100. So I'm going to fade him. Of course, I don't have all the juice that you have. So, but based on what I saw and the fact that he was, just barely top 20 for you. At that price point, he's not worth a play. So we'll go straight to Guru from that point.
Well,
all Falcon Day, he goes, I believe him.
I
believe he watches a lot more golf than normal people, and he has no idea.
Legend Lee Hodges out there? I mean, Jesus, man. I was telling all these guys on DraftKings, like 75% of the field doesn't even have a picture. It's just like picking ghosts.
Welcome to opposite field hill.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Guru. What do you got for 9K?
Who did you fade in the 9K?
Lee Hodges.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I had a just momentary, brain disappear, if you will.
Well, you've been a little busy. I get it.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So I'm going to start with my fade, actually. So I'm going to fade Tom Lewis. This is just one guy that I can never seem to get right. He seems to show up occasionally at that oddball event in the States, but the few events, like he's off-field events he's played, I don't know. He'll finish somewhere between 30th, 50th, something like that. Scoring's down, never played the course. Comps don't really check out. I mean, statistically he's fine, but for that kind of price, exactly.
This is going to go on all day.
Probably.
Hey,
So
this is a $9,000 player. Show him some damn respect.
no, they're better guys from England, and they're all in the match play. So I'm going to take a pass on Tom
Show
Lewis.
some respect.
So you touched on Vegas, and you pretty much hit every key point that I had for Vegas, but he's on my list too. I mean, he finished 26th in 2019, and he didn't do great last week, but he was pretty competitive a good chunk of last week, and I liked him a lot last week. And there's nothing from last week that he did to take me off him this week. It just shows from a middle of the road kind of guy last week to a I think he was 72 or 7,300 last week, and he's 9,800 now. So jumping up $2,500 in a week just due the difference in the field is insane. But yeah, he did okay in Puerto Rico. I mean, he kind of, I don't want to say he choked on Sunday, but he laid up when Grace had the stones to go for it, and that was probably the difference in the round right there. So if he could, he took the paycheck for sure.
Yeah,
but he showed up, he scored enough on the weekend, so I think he could kind of do that again here. So it makes some sense. So Lashley's probably the chalk just because he's had really good, course history here. And so I'm looking to it's probably going to come back and burn me. Lashley's the one I should take, but I'm not going to. So, yeah, I know. I'm going to throw it for a wild card. So you kind of go down the list, Willett's coming off of the whole COVID thing, and he's been looking better. I mean, he's an interesting guy, but, again, he's never played the course either. And again, he'll probably show up and score well, but, is he going to just come out and score, 20 under and just, knock the ball out of the park? Probably not. Then, Brandon Wu's the same thing, young guy, can score, up and comer, got the stats and everything checks out. And then you kind of go down the list and figure out who's left. And then it's kind of a coin flip for me. So I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to actually ride with Lee Hodges.
He pivoted on just to mess with me.
No, first one there. I mean, he's top 10% in the field in scoring just based on the information we have there. He hasn't played the course, but there's so many upper end guys that haven't played the course. That's probably something that I probably can't hold against all of them. I could hold against a couple of them, but based on the way I drew it up in the model, I mean, he checks out well enough. I mean, 20th, I mean, it might be a stretch to think he could finish top 10, but I think he's got a wide range of outcomes. I think the upside is there where he could probably finish top 10, but I think the floor is there when he could embarrass me and probably miss the cut. But he's somebody different. I don't think he'll be as highly owned as some of the other guys in the 9K range, and I'm willing to take a shot. But
over Sam Ryder and some of those guys.
Yeah, I don't. There's some things on Ryder.
Lee Hodges bust, then just get out of the way. It's Lee. Lee Hodges isn't on my squad, but for some damn reason, I'm all in on Lee Hodges now.
Oh my god!
Let's bring him home.
Screw all you people. Yeah, even the audience, Hodges for life. He didn't know who the fuck he was.
That's why we're rolling with it, man. I'm excited about it.
I just changed the rating of the show with one word. Oh,
NC-17, baby.
And we'll put that out.
Now, I mean,
all right.
I trust my 10s more than anything, and honestly, having built a couple lineups, I probably won't spend much time in the 9s. I mean, I'll probably have a little exposure here and there, but I'll probably be up top, and most of my exposure will be in the 8s. So, to be honest with you, I don't really give a crap about the 9s.
What? I said the same thing. I love the 8s and 7s.
Yeah, and I think, the 6s are so bad. You find a couple of guys at the top. I'm really unsure about the 9s. I'll take the couple of guys at the 10, and I'll make my money with the 8s and the 7s because I think they're more reliable. So I'm going to take Hodges in an upset, and hopefully he makes me look good. If not, it's okay because I probably won't play much.
All right. He's challenging us. Somebody has to put at least $1 on an outright winner on Hodges. I will. I'm
in a non-gambling state. Somebody please place that $1 bet for me. And
you know what? I'll put it on there for you.
I appreciate that. I'll Venmo that $1 over to you there.
Well, I'll Venmo you half of the winnings.
That's fair.
All right. So what do you got, Pro? Give me your 9s. I've had enough of this stuff with Guru.
So actually, very similar to you guys, I do like Johnny Vegas. In the other opposite field event that we had previously in Puerto Rico, he played very well. I believe he finished second. I do like Sam Ryder as well. Sam Ryder had a really solid week last week outside of missing like a foot putt, which was weird.
He had a laser on his irons, man.
Yeah, and he was playing really well. Just a third guy that I'd throw in that I do like is Nate Lashley. He had a solid finish here last year, and he's been playing well. I'm also going to fade Tom Lewis. 4 out of 12 cuts, no top tens. He's 165th on tour in greens and regulation. Yeah, so I'm going to fade Tom Lewis as well.
Well, then I'm going to put $1 on him.
That's how it works now? Okay.
Yeah, all the fades. Okay, well, let's get the hell out of Justin. What Justin have here?
Oh, yeah. Does he have any
Come on, Lee Hodges. Come on, Lee Hodges.
He has he's playing Brandon Wu and Johnny Vegas. So we had 4 Vegas ones. So all right, so Hoffman and Vegas are the faux show chalks for all 4 of us.
He
for
was
those
loving
that are
Brandon Wu he was talking about.
And he's like Brandon Wu before he saw anybody's spreadsheet. And he faded Danny Willett at $9,600. And I don't blame him. I haven't seen anything from Danny Willett since the Masters, 10 years ago?
He slowly started to get his game back a little bit, but yeah, he just fell. He won the Masters and literally fell off that cliff behind Nick there. He just took right off of that cliff.
Yeah, look, all Falcon Day. Hodges Lewis, 2024.
yeah, that's right.
I love this guy.
That's awesome.
All right, well, we'll let Justin start the old 8K range. And Justin went with Will Gordon, Bryce Garnett, and Luke List. And he faded Sepp Straka.
All right.
That being said, we'll go straight to Guru.
Well, yeah. So, kind of taking all my thunder right there, but so I'm going to play Sepp Straka, actually. So he had the first round lead last year, and then he kind of tanked on the weekend. So I think he kind of likes the course. The 2 times he's been here, he's got a 26th and a 33rd, and statistically he checks out top 20 percent in the field in terms of scoring. And I don't want to say sneaky because I like the 8K range a lot. So there's a couple of guys you could play, but yeah, I mean he's a classier guy in the 8K range that I like. Done okay in some other courses, likes the second tier events, and you've seen him in some other name events in the state. So yeah, I'm going to ride with him. You can't not play Garnett just because he's a coastal guy. I mean, he's won the damn thing a couple years ago. So he's got the course history. He's got the stats. I mean, he seems to kind of show up. I mean, he knows how to handle the wind. I mean, I don't really have anything negative to say about Garnett, except that he's 8. I wish he was maybe 7,500. I'd love him even more.
Yeah, sure.
Then, List checked out really high for me, and I think a lot of that has to do with the 8th he got last year, but he's a pretty good value. I mean, he seems to be really hot and really cold, so he's either going to pop another top 10 and make me look like a genius, or he's going to miss the cut and I'm going to feel like a complete jackass. But statistically, he's got the course history chops, comp results kind of check out. He's got the, respectable form in terms of the field. He's in the, top 10%. The putting is Luke List. I mean, you know what you're going to get with him, but the tee to green stuff is actually okay. And, the auxiliary stuff is not too bad either. So the fade for me is, survey says, I'm going to fade Mr. Rafa Cabrera Bello. I'm a fan of his, been a fan for a long time, but his game's just been off for a while. Sure. And I'm not a big fan of people just showing up at events they don't normally play just to get points and try to keep their card and earn a paycheck. It doesn't usually work out too well if your game is not really going well. And he may score a top 20 and earn a little bit of money, but for that kind of price, I think I could do better with just about anybody else in the 8K range. And there's a bunch of other guys I like in that range too. But since I'm limited to 3, there's my 3 and there's my fade.
I like it. I like it a lot. Pro, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Patrick Rogers at 8,300. He's had 3 top 25s based off form. I mean, he's one guy I like in the 8K range. Not to be mistaken by Ndamukong Suh. This is Justin Suh. Corn Ferry guy for the most part, getting these opportunities on these opposite fields. I like him. My fade would be Tyler Pendrith. And I teeter-tottered between Rafa Cabrera-Bello as well. Listen, it's a tough fade. The model doesn't like him. Past form doesn't like him. He's somebody I want to fade in this range. Oh, Chase Seifert's also somebody that I like at 8K.
Well, good, because you needed a third one.
Yeah. So, okay. So Chase Seifert's also, I just went right over my third. Tied for third at Honda, 53rd on the season, greenage and regulation. He'll be my third guy in that in the 8K range.
Nice. Okay, and I'll wrap up the 8K range with Will Gordon at 8,600. He actually came third in my model, and I know he was 19th in Guru's model, but in my model with all of those metrics, he was third in my model. He was third in birdie or better, third in driving distance, 8th in off the tee, 9th in putting, and 40th in approach. And so he really had no weaknesses. The only weakness he has is scrambling. But if he's hitting greens in regulation and he's hitting the ball strong off the tee, hopefully he won't have to do that so much. But even in driving distance, he was third. So really, really good numbers against this field and all the key metrics that I really like. And so I'm definitely putting him in. I'm also putting in Roger Sloan, who came up pretty good in my model. And he finished 16th in Guru's model, 5th in my model. And I like him because he's 14th in birdie or better, 16th in approach, 20th off the tee, 22nd in putting, 14th in birdie or better. We talked about that. And he's still top 50 in driving distance at 49th. So, yeah, I like him a lot. And then my third guy is also Sepp Straka. And Guru already touched on that, but, gosh dang, 8th in approach, 4th in birdie or better. I mean, 20th off the tee, 22nd. 4th in birdie or better, and 21st off the tee. He's just got a lot of good numbers there, and I think he's going to play very well. And so we both have Straka. Can't believe Justin faded that guy. And the guy that I'm fading that might surprise Guru, because I was talking on him the other day, but after I looked at it closely, I'm fading also Rafa Cabrera-Bello. He's just not worth it at 8,500 right now. People are going to be playing him based on his name because he was a really good golfer a few years back. Yeah. I mean, we all remember him. He was always one of those guys you had to keep your eye on because you think he could go out there and put a low number up. And so, but boy, when you look at where he's gone, oh my, he's 75th in my ranking. He's 84th in approach, 81st off the tee, 58th in birdie or better. He's 84th in driving distance. I don't know where his game is, and so he's a hard fade for me. Of course, Justin plays him, and Justin has a lucky rabbit's foot in his shoe, so we'll see him have his best round, his best tournament in 5 years. But that's just the way it goes. He's a fade in my book. So,
just talking about the 8K for a second. So there are 9 guys from the 8Ks that were in the top 20 of the model I had. And to me, that just shows the strength of the price range. So I think that's where the money will be made.
Right. And I think that makes sense for you to say why you're fading most of the guys in 9K anyway. And so I'm with you on that one. All right, 7K. Let's go pro first. 3 plays and 1 fade.
Yeah, this is one that's more like a heart play, but I do feel like he's got recent form as Camilo Villegas. Dude's been through a lot. He has been playing better lately. This is the kind of tournament I can see him getting going on. Pat Perez. The model likes Pat Perez. I like Pat Perez in this field. He's only has 1 top 10 on the year, but again, this guy's been around a long time. He's played this golf course. I think he'll be able to get it around just fine. My third guy is Tyler McCumber, whose dad was
he won this thing a few years ago.
Yep, and his dad was an old pro. He tied for 22nd at the Players, which is pretty impressive for a young player. He played well here last year. I will go with Tyler McCumber, and my fade is Bo Hostler, right? So Bo Hostler, who came out of the gates, Bo Hostler came out of the gates, playing really good golf, and then he struggled to keep his card. He won his car back in Q school. his game's just not there right now. The stats prove it. He's 184th in driving accuracy, 174th on the year in greens and regulation. I don't know. The stats just tell me that he's not going to have a good week, and it's too bad because early on there was a lot of promise. He likes to rock that weird visor, but I'm going to fade my man Bo Hostler.
All right, man. Cool deal, Guru. What do you got? 7K.
I guess I'm drinking from everybody's Kool-Aid this week, or maybe I'm just too tired to get crazy or anything like that. But so I'm going to ride the McCumber train. I'll just, I'll play the course history angle, and, he checks out in terms of the price range, in terms of, stats, comps, the whole deal. And he's got pretty good value at that range for sure. I'm going to ride Pat Perez too. He's done the coastal course. He, does the Paspalum greens. He's had pretty good success in, Puerto Rico and Mayakoba.
All the time and just
and you just have to love his freaking shoes, man. I mean, come on.
And his hair.
Yeah, and the hair. You just want somebody that can get around, is not going to be intimidated, and just going to knows what they're going to do. And as we talked about, he's considered a bit of a wind guy, so that's a bonus in my book too. Then finding the third guy was kind of interesting, so I'm going to try to go off the grid a little bit. So I'm going to take Aaron Baddeley. Australians like wind, and I'll take the 100-1. He's got decent course history here, comp sale checked out, and a whole lot of guys lacking in some form because I think he falls into that lower end of the bloated middle. But I'm going to take a stab, and maybe he'll show up, and maybe he'll just come with one good round. Yeah, he can putt, but if he gets that one good round and he can hold it together for the other three, maybe he'll show up with a decent score or final score or final slot on the leaderboard at the end. And I'm just going to take the low-hanging fruit and may come back to burn me, but I'm going to fade Graham McDowell. Generally, historically, he's had pretty good success on the coastal courses, done pretty well here, but,
he's playing awful.
Yeah, I just, if it's this week that he finds his game and finds Jesus, well, great. I'll make a donation his name on Monday, but, there are a whole lot of other guys in the 7Ks, that I will take a flyer on before I want to risk it with him. He's just not scoring. He's just not making cuts. I'm going to take a pass. So, yeah.
Yeah. He's one of those guys that try to chase distance a little bit, and it's kind of mess with every other part of his game. Normally a great wind player, great ball striker. Won the US Open at Pebble. But yeah, he's nowhere to be found right now. That's not a terrible fade in my opinion.
Okay, Justin. He went with, hey, hold on one second. Thought I was going to sneeze there. Justin went with Tyler McCumber as well. So we got three of you guys on that guy. He went with Frank Zanotti. Is that
nice.
Zanotti? And Grayson Sigg.
Grayson Sigg.
What's so funny about that?
Oh, man. Nothing.
Oh, good. Justin.
He's chasing the scorers. He's chasing the young guys. I like it.
He's fading one of my plays. He's fading Joel Damon at $7,700, and so find that pretty interesting.
He doesn't belong here, but his form has just been so. I don't know what the hell you want to call it, Joel Damon, and the fact that he's here is one of those. I think he's just trying to find something and score. He's had great success. If he goes out, and he can certainly light it up and get the 20 under par and make Justin look like a hero. Come Sunday afternoon, but I'm just not sure I see it yet, man.
No, Justin faded him.
Oh well, yeah. Okay. Well then,
I'm gonna play him, so I might look like a hero.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Well, I get it. I get why you play him, but the form scares me off.
Right. Well, anyway, so we'll go to my 7K. I'm going with Adam Schenk first.
Great golf name.
7,900. What?
Great golf name.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a great golf name. I have him ranked 13th. Guru has him ranked 17th. He's 21st in approach. He's 16th off the tee. He's 40th in birdie or better. He's 32nd in driving distance, 64th in putting. That's but he's hitting all the other numbers, and so I've got him in there. I've got a guy that I liked in Puerto Rico, and I've been keeping up with this guy, and he's actually got some really good potential. That's Christopher Ventura, and Ventura 7,300. He's at the bottom range. He's almost in that 6K range. And what I like about him is, first of all, you had him at 43rd. This is the biggest. This could be the biggest differential that we've had between our models. You got him at 43rd. I've got him at 10th. And I know that's crazy. And in my model's way woefully incomplete. But in this field, he is 8th in approach. He's 21st off the tee. He's 4th in birdie or better and 28th in distance. I mean, those are all really strong metrics against this field. And so at that price point, I'm putting him in. And of course, we just talked about the aforementioned Joel Damon. He's in there for me as well at 7,700. And my fade is Hudson Swafford. And we all know why. I mean, he won this thing last year. A lot of people might be on him, but I felt it would be pretty smart to come out there and say why you don't want to play him. Because even at 200 to 1 when he won last year, the idea of lightning striking twice is not going to happen. To put it in perspective, he's 78th in approach, 98th off the tee, 55th in putting, 64th in birdie or better, 114th in scrambling. And so he's not in this thing yet. He's probably, in the 7K range. He should be in the 6K range, even with the win from last year. So anybody that's thinking about playing him because he won last year, don't. And that's the main reason I put him in there, because nobody else is even thinking about that guy. So that brings us to the value plays. 6K. I've grabbed 3 value plays. I'll go ahead and jump on those, and then we'll move across the board. I went with Paul Barjon at $6,700. He popped really good in my model. As a matter of fact, he was not good in Guru's model at 49th, but he's a 6K player. So top 50 as a 6K player is worthy of a mention. But he was, he's a 30th in approach, 14th off the tee, 21st in birdie or better, 37th in distance, 55th in scrambling. So, a guy at that price point in the 6K, I got him in there. I've also got Chesson Hadley at $6,800. And I liked him because he was 8th in putting. And Guru talked about how putting could be a big factor this time. He's also 24th in approach. So when you got a guy with good irons and a good putter, I'll take my chances on a 6K player with a guy like that. And finally, in 6K, I got Chris Baker, and he's at the low range of 6K. And the reason I got him, number one, and Guru has him at 64th. I get that, but this is not a made-up thing. And Chris Baker is 3rd in approach and 5th off the tee in this field. And those are the 2 most important strokes gain categories for this tournament. And the fact that he's top 5 in 2 of them, I'll take that for almost bottom minimum wage guy at $6,300.
Sure.
Guru, what do you got on 6K?
Well, let's go. Let's get the fun one first. He is 51st in the model for me, but he is a lovely 250 to 1 roundabout in the outright market. So I'm going to
250. A 250 to 1.
250 to
I'm
1.
intrigued. Proceed.
Yeah, I see you writing it down. So I'm gonna take Alex Smalley, young guy. He finished 14th in the fall. So he likes the course. He gets the return trip. He's seemed to like it. He's got the he's got the course history. He hasn't played enough to really have a comp advantage. So that's not really a huge factor. He hasn't really played enough to have a substantial form thing, but statistically he's kind of in the middle somewhere. But I'm going to ride or die with the course history and the fact he's a young guy. He's 25. Went to Duke. I think he's from New York. It's worth a shot. So let's find somebody different that you also may like. So let's play Mr. Seamus Power. I always like that name.
I do too.
So he was 5th here a couple years ago. And the comps check out because he's one of the few guys under 7K that's actually had some decent regular PGA experience too. His form isn't really superb, but he ranks up there kind of middle of the pack in terms of the strokes gained stuff in terms of the field and then the auxiliary stats as well. Then I'm going to reach a little further again. I'm trying to avoid the 2 best ranked 6K guys I had in the model were Troy Merritt and Hank Labodia. That just seems pretty easy, and could certainly go there, but I'm going to try to avoid it just for being different. And the fact that Merritt 70-1 and Labodia is 100-1. I think a lot of people will find that. So I'm going to take a flyer on Ryan Brem at 6,900. He is 47th in the model, and basically I'm going to take him for the 2 top 30s he's had in 2018 and 2020. It's one of those out of nowhere kind of plays. His form is probably the worst of the 3 guys, but he's another one of those guys that have played some courses on tours, so he's going to have a little bit of comp experience. He's done okay on some of the coastal stuff too. Stats aren't really great either, but he's high enough in the model. A lot of the 6K guys didn't really start hitting until mid 30s, but a lot of them started bunching up between about 35th and maybe 50th. So the fact that they're all pretty close together, to me, it just shows they're a dime a dozen. And I use probably the ones between maybe 67 and 6,900 to fill out your models, but for most part, I don't really think you'll have to have too much exposure when you're building. So those are the 3 I'm going to go after.
Wow, I find it interesting. I'll go and do Justin's real quick. We'll let Pro finish us out, and then we'll go to the outrights. Justin had Ben Martin. He also had Troy Merritt, and he finished off with Paul Barjon. So he had one of mine, one of yours, and of course Merritt. And you brought up Merritt there at the end, which is important because we've got people that are watching this and they're looking for some of these value guys. And the more names we give them that seem to have a little bit of consensus, the better, right?
Absolutely.
And so what do you got there, Pro?
Well, to your point, this should work out decently then. I have Troy Merritt as well.
Nice. So we got 3 on Troy Merritt. That's pretty good.
Yep. T16 at Pebble, which was his best finish. I also am going with Chesson Hadley, who you mentioned, Dave. Mm-hmm. He's got 3 top 25s on the year, decent form, and then Seamus Power is my 3rd guy. So
it all comes full circle.
Yeah, it does.
Wow, pretty cool.
We're kind of in the same board here in the 6K range.
I was hoping one of you guys were going to jump on Chris Baker with me.
If you've been reading my article, he's a guy I mentioned frequently in a lot of them. So I do like the guy. Just looking for something a little different.
Well, your article came out an hour ago. I hadn't had a chance to read it yet.
No, I just meant for this one. He may be in tomorrow's, but I just meant the other weeks he's showed up a couple of times.
Well, All Falcon Day is got his almanac out, and he's apparently finding all information on Hodges. He'd like to own his own course one day, but he's got too many superstitions. So anyway, well, hey guys, I really like what we got. We're going to put some consensus things together, and we'll share those tomorrow. But let's go ahead and jump into some outright plays. As you know, we like to split them up a little bit. Do you guys have any outrights you're ready to go into, or are you going to share it for tomorrow's tweets? I've got a few.
Let's hear what you have first.
All right, first one I have is obvious. It's rare that you get an outright that you're actually allowed to a favorite that you're actually allowed to bet because it's 18 or higher. And so I'm going to take Charlie Hoffman. I mean, I really believe with your model and my model both coming to that number. I'm at 18-1. Yeah, he's. I'm not ashamed to take that pick. And so I'm going to be putting money on Hoffman. I am going to be putting money on Peters. I'm not going to play him in DraftKings because he's too expensive at 11,000. But he does have the ability to go out and win this tournament. He's 7th in approach. He's 6th in birdie or better, 11th in scrambling, 11th in distance, 24th off the tee. I mean, he's got the numbers. He's got the pedigree. He can go out and win this thing. And so at 22-1, yeah, I'll take that guy. And then at 30-1, I'm taking Johnny Vegas. We all talked about Johnny Vegas. I'm not going to beat that horse to death, but I like 30-1 for a guy in this kind of field with that kind of firepower. And then I'm going to 35. I'm taking Sloan.
Nice.
I took Sloan, and then I'm going 45 with Gordon, 3rd in my model, and at 45-1, I really like those odds. I'm not saying he's going to win, but if he does, I'm getting paid. And then I did a super bonus pick. I always like to do one of those 90-1 or higher bonus picks, and I'm going with Ventura at 90-1, and so. I talked about Ventura and why I liked him so much, and he actually finished 10th in my model. And so when you get a guy that's number 1 in the field in putting on a course that you say putting is going to be very important, that's why I like him. He's number 1 in the field in putting, and he's great with that. And the fact that he's 13th in birdie or better, He's 5th in driving distance. He's also 11th off the tee. Yeah, those are all great numbers for a guy that's 90 to 1.
Not bad. Not bad.
All right.
You got any prayer? You want me to go ahead?
Yeah, I'll go. I have Johnny Vegas 30 to 1 as well. I also have Sam Ryder at 35 to 1. And I will take Camilo Villegas at 65 to 1.
Let's talk about what is he, 65 you said?
Yep. That's what I mean.
Let's talk about him just a little bit, Guru and Pro, because obviously last week, he got more coverage than Jordan Spieth because he was trying to, finish 3rd or better, tied T3 or better to remain on the PGA. I know he's going to lose a lot of tournaments, but how do you think that affects a guy's, psyche?
A guy like him, not at all. He just, I believe, last year, 2 years ago, lost his daughter to a disease. She died. I think, which is why he's like a feel-good story to me, because I feel like something for him, like a guy like that, I feel like everything else doesn't really matter as much, which is why I'm rooting for him. And he's been playing better. But yeah, most guys, you're right, it would definitely mess with it. But I think a guy like him, everybody's kind of rooting for, and I think it would affect him less than others on tour.
And so I guess also that makes a lot of sense. That's a great answer. One of the things that I was thinking about, I just look at a lot of the little things. Like, he had so much pressure on him this past week, and all the guys that are down in the Dominican, they've all been down there. Okay, he played the Honda Classic. And then he obviously had to go through the disappointment. And then he had to immediately fly down there.
Yep.
And so it's, to me, I just feel like he's going to be all out of sorts. But he like I said, he could be. Now, what is the story on him now? Is he off? I mean, can he win this tournament? Because it's now by the way, did you know this is the first year that the winner of this tournament is actually going to qualify to be in the Masters if they win, because they didn't have that before this year.
Nice.
So if he wins this thing, is he back, got his card, or is that
oh yeah,
prizes in the field?
Yeah. If he wins this, he has his card for at least 2 years with exemptions to big major championships like you just mentioned.
Right.
So it would be kind of, for a guy that, you guys remember 8-10 years ago, a guy that we saw on lots of leaderboards, lots of weekends on the PGA Tour, and kind of, again, life and the ups and downs of this game. A win here would be life-changing for him.
Yeah, that's what he needs. Well, you know what? I'll be pulling for him because he is a good guy, and I do feel bad for him. And so, that's a good play. I'm glad you're playing that one. What do you got there, Guru?
So most of my plays are going to end up being, course history based. So I'm going to take, Lashley if you can still get him at the 35, take him at the 35. I mean, won here a couple years ago, top 5 last year, seems to be in pretty decent form, early in the year. So I think he's coming in a better spot than he has normally. And I just think that's a pretty good price. I think that's one of the lower prices that actually makes some sense to me. My next pick would be, I'm going to ride Straka as well. I think he's just too classy. I think the stats are there. I think the experience last year is pretty good. I think he's looking for some redemption. I think he's one of those, he's either going to top 10 or he's just going to come out and try too hard and get caught in the wind and get swirled up in a Bermuda Triangle type thing and miss the cut. But I'll take the flyer that, he shoots well. I'll take Steven Yeager too at 55. I think he's a kind of a Euro guy that a lot of people don't know a whole lot about, and statistically checks out. He's played enough of the comp courses, and he's got decent experience here. So I think he's coming in a pretty good spot, and I think the odds are pretty good at 55.
What was Straka's?
I had him at 30 at the time, but he's probably shorter than that now.
Well, we'll put him at 30. That's what you bet him at.
Yeah.
Okay. And anybody
going
else?
Going down the ladder. I wouldn't play him in DraftKings, but they still checked out the models, so they made sense. So I didn't take Merritt, but I took Labodia just because I've been riding him a couple weeks and he keeps, showing up. So, I always said that I seem to sniff out guys a couple weeks early, and okay, maybe this is going to be 2 months early that I've been, waiting for him to pop. But, he's been in the top 40 a couple times for me. So maybe this is the week he shows up, when you get the top 65 of the field out there. So I just have 4 at the moment, but I will probably tack on 2 more.
Sounds good. Justin, by the way, had Hoffman as well. Then he threw in Detry, which I really like that play. And then he threw in Woo. We know he likes Woo. He talked about Woo before the
Woo.
Honda even finished. And so he's all over Woo at 25-1. So those are his outrights. And you saw mine. But briefly, while we still got a few minutes, we want to go into the optimal lineup. We almost forgot it last time. And so I'm going to put it up here. And, I'm not going to just reverberate on what happened last week at the Honda Classic, but I was really close to having an optimal lineup last week for the Honda Classic with the 531 points. But when I look at your optimal lineup this week, boy, you're projecting 598.3 points. And, of course, the scoring is really, really high at this course. And so there is a big differential between, that kind of tournament and what we just got through. But talk about your optimal lineup here, Guru. I got it scrolling, by the way.
Oh, fantastic. That is awesome. But just for those that cannot see the scroll, so
Right.
Charlie Hoffman is number 1, and 10,200. And then Luke List is number 4 at 8,900. Then, forgive me, I forgot my own damn optimal, so I have to wait for the scroll to catch up.
Rogers.
Patrick Rogers is 9th at 8,300. Chase Seifert is 10th at 8,000. Pat Perez is 15th at 7,400. And to fill it out at an even 50,000 is Bronson Burgoon at 24th. It kind of goes to the line of thought I had that, you really don't need much in the, 9Ks just because the 8s were pretty top heavy. And so you've got 3 of them there. You've got List with some course experience. You've got Rogers with some stats, decent for him. You've got him with some course experience too, which is nice. You've got Perez with the possible, experience too. And really Burgoon is probably more lineup filler, for lack of a better way to say it, but he can score, and he's a guy that can show up pretty well. He does. I mean, he's got some experience here. It's not great, but he's one of those guys that seem to just fire that insane round every now and again out of the blue. So you could do a whole lot. You could do a whole lot worse, but if you're looking to drop off, I think it's a pretty good core that you have right there. So if you want to spread from take off and just hammer the other guys, if you want to drop down to teeter at 7,000 is just a couple of slots underneath, or you want to chase the 6K guys that we mentioned, like Labodia and Merritt, or even go a little further down the board to DJ Trahan or Von Taylor or somebody like that, you could.
Or Chesson Hadley.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I like that lineup. I'm just not I just find it interesting that between the 4 of us, none of us brought up Burgoon, and he's in the optimal lineup. And we all got this beforehand. And so I just find that I find it a little compelling.
Yeah, I ended up with badly, but I'm most of my picks, if you noticed, I've been playing like the comps, and I've been playing more of the course. I mean, I think the stats kind of play out, and if I could throw a couple more guys in there, Burgoon probably would have been on my short list, but just a couple of slots under Burgoon, you've got Josh Teeter, so I mean he's somebody else that might have popped up for me too. But I mean, Burgoon is just there. I mean, but the big thing about the optimal is that's a 50,000 lineup, so you have the you have the people that just swear that you don't want to play the 50,000 lineup, and that's fine, but Burgoon made it 50,000, so it would still be the same lineup if you wanted a 49.9 or 49.8. You just drop Burgoon. There's nothing wrong with him. I think he's a good play. I think he's a good pick, but yeah.
Well, Lee Hodges is the Rory McIlroy of the Dominican Republic. Well, guys,
we're gonna search out a picture, and maybe we're gonna raffle him away next week.
Yeah, you were gonna send you a Lee Hodges.
Wait, I've got something better. We saved the very best for last. I want to remind everybody who's watching this on YouTube, we're doing this for both tournaments this week. Go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you like the video you're watching right now, and put a comment. Who's going to win this thing? All right. Put that comment on the YouTube comment page, and if that person wins, you will get an autographed picture of that champion. And if you do it with Lee Hodges and he wins, we're going to throw in a signed flag or something from him and make it extra special, and you will be in the closest to the win Hall of Fame forever. You cannot go wrong.
That's
He goes, if someone takes Hodges over me, I'll be furious. Well, you better get in there and get it once it's published. It'll be published later tonight. So if you're listening on YouTube, watching on YouTube, we are doing this show live. So I apologize, but yeah, get it on there and share with us. And also, you know what? Let us know how we're doing. Let us know how you like the show, and it helps us out, makes us feel good, and it also helps us grow. So we really appreciate that. Any final parting words, guys?
Be ready in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, I got to put a lot of lineups in tonight. I hadn't done anything.
I mean, I haven't put in one lineup, so I got some work to do, boys.
I do too. I do too. Yeah, guys, reminder, get your lineups in tomorrow for the WGC match play. Make sure your lineups are in, and make sure you get the article tomorrow night for the Corrales play, and pay attention. Enjoy some golf. Enjoy 5 days of golf, guys. It's going to be awesome, and do some live betting, and have a lot of fun. And we'll see you guys Thursday night to talk a little smack about what's going on in both tournaments. And so it should be a fun show. We may have a special guest with us, and hopefully Guru will be able to come on the show, and we'll talk a little golf there. By the way, didn't announce it, but we are 2-2 now together on the 3-man snake, and I have hit 2 of 4 winners after first day. So due to lose is what it sounds like. Due to lose. That's it. Well, anyway, hey, thanks for all that you chimed in. Thanks for you guys, and we'll talk to you guys on Thursday. Well, we'll be talking to you guys Thursday night, but a lot before then. So anyway, peace out, everybody.
Did you get all that? If not, make sure you head over to hammercast.com, subscribe, and join the Hammer Nation. Until next time, keep grinding.